World Vision Australia is here in India with Ambassador Tracey Spicer, a long way away from Canberra where foreign aid is just numbers. Tracey, you've seen the effect of Australia's foreign aid on the ground today. What have you seen?
What was extraordinary was when we heard that the federal government was once again delaying its commitment to meet the Millennium Goals. We were driving along in one of the main streets of Delhi. We heard a banging on the side of the van, and we looked down and there was a legless man who was banging on the side of the van in peak hour traffic in the middle of Delhi, begging for food. And I thought, what a contrast. It's such a shame. Australia is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. I know there are some people suffering in Australia, but nothing quite like the suffering you see in developing countries. And goodness me, if we can't afford to be generous to these people, I think it's a shame, and I think it's a reflection on all of us as Australians. That was what we saw when we found out about the Australian government's refusal to live up to its commitments. Over the last 2 or 3 days, we've seen what the money that's given to World Vision and to AusAid can do. We met child journalists who are remarkable. They've been trained in camera work and in writing to be able to send messages to their own communities, especially their parents, about changing the culture here. You know, things like terrible domestic abuse in the households, kids as young as 8 drinking, intravenous drug use, gambling amongst children. And there is hope for the next generation because of these kind of programs that World Vision is putting in place. Today we met some incredibly heartbreaking, I can't even put it into words, the women that we met today. I'm so sorry. One of them, her husband had died from HIV/AIDS. He was an intravenous drug user. Another woman, her husband also died of HIV/AIDS, and the virus was passed on to her. And her husband only died 6 weeks ago. She's trying to raise 3 small children. She's barely making ends meet. And on top of that, there's the shame in the community about being someone who is affected by HIV/AIDS. This AusAid program does things like gives out clean needles in the community, stuff that we take for granted in Australia. It helps to educate the young girls about sex. 80 to 90% of the women who get HIV/AIDS in India get it from their husbands who are away on business trips and having sexual relations with other women. So young girls need to be educated about this. This is life-saving stuff that World Vision's doing. And as Tim Costello says, this kind of stuff costs about $2,000 to save a life. Now, who wouldn't spend $2,000 to save a life? So I guess that's a very long way of saying what I think the Australian government is doing is appalling. And if only they could be here and see the good work that's being done, I don't think they would have made the same decision.
Tracey Spicer with World Vision Australia in India, thank you very much.